What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. How the heck is everybody doing today? Today we're going to talk to you about, is the DRZ400SM a good everyday bike? So today we're going to talk about if the DRZ400 Supermoto is a good everyday bike. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is maintenance. And this bike is incredibly reliable. I mean, it's got a carburetor, for God's sake. So basically, first 600 miles you want to do an oil change, and after that it's every 3,500 miles for an oil change. You want to do the basics like cleaning the chain, you know, making sure you got no leaks, no oil leaks, no issues there. But honestly, this bike requires absolutely minimal maintenance and is going to be a terrific and reliable bike for you for a long period of time. The second thing I want to talk to you about is comfort. So this bike is okay comfortable. This bike has the stock spring on it, but overall I would say the DRZ is a pretty comfortable motorcycle. I do also have an aftermarket seat on this bike, which does help with some of the comfort. So if you're going to do longer trips on this bike or spend a good majority of your time on this motorcycle, I would definitely recommend looking at aftermarket seats, and there's a lot of options out there. I specifically have the seat concept seat. But in terms of comfort, this bike has a very upright seating position. Your shoulders and elbows are dropped a little bit, and it's a very easy riding motorcycle. It's also fairly lightweight now. It's a little bit heavier for the Supermoto class, and everybody that rides a DRZ SM or you get on the DRZ forums calls them a fat pig. But you know, if they've ridden any other motorcycle ever, they'll know that this is a pretty light motorcycle just in general. So it's a very maneuverable motorcycle, very easy to get on, hop on and ride. It's not intimidating, and I think it's also a great bike for a new rider that wants to get into the Supermoto scene. But overall, it definitely checks the box for comfort. The third thing I want to talk about, if you live with this bike every single day, is storage. Now, this is kind of a weird concept to talk about when you're talking about motorcycles in general, but storage is something you have to consider if you're going to be riding this daily, taking it to work, taking it to school, and just doing around town commuting, going to pick up something. You know, oftentimes I'll just shove something in my jacket, but you know, that's not a great solution. So you definitely want to think about storage for this bike. The cool thing is with the DRZ, there's a lot of different storage options, from saddlebags to tank bags. And then of course you can also do the classic wearing the backpack. But for those of you that live in a state where it gets a little bit warm, you know that wearing a backpack for an extended period of time on a motorcycle sucks, because when you get off the bike, your back is absolutely soaked. But the DRZ is not a bagger, it is not a touring bike. It is a specific Supermoto. But can it be done? Could you live with this bike for a everyday rider? I absolutely believe so. And you can find solutions to your problems of storage very easily. And there's a lot of aftermarket storage options out there.
No bikes, guys.
Thanks, man. So of course, you know, a lot of those things are subjective, and so if you want to live with the bike, it is absolutely your option. I'm just giving you my opinions on things that I've learned while having this bike. So this bike comes obviously with street tires. You can get like a 50-50 tire or a 70-30 tire if you want to make this a little bit more of like an ADV bike, and this bike is absolutely capable of doing that. So the Supermoto platform comes stock with 17-inch wheels, and you can get some 50-50 tires. Now, is it a true off-road setup? No, absolutely not. Can it do the trick? Absolutely, depending on the type of terrain you're going through. But this bike is incredibly capable on-road and off-road. So those are some of the pros to this bike. Now, some of the cons to this bike. Is it a long-range highway bike? I guess that's going to be the most subjective comment that I'm going to talk about today. Could it be? Sure. Is it fundamentally? No. So this bike is really meant to be a short distance, get around town, and kind of an enjoyable rider, and you know, to be a little bit of a hooligan on, to be honest. But it is not really meant for long distance highway jaunts. There's no wind protection, and you do get pretty beat up on the highway. Also, this thing revs out like crazy, maxing out at like 85 to 90 miles an hour. And so when you're driving highway speeds consistently, this bike just really doesn't like that. It's not really built for that. So I don't recommend using this bike as a long range highway commuter. But again, that's just personal preference, and that's my opinion. Also, the tank is relatively small on this bike. I believe it's a 2.7 gallon tank, if I'm not mistaken. So as far as distance goes, you're gonna get about 100 to 125 miles on a tank. That's been my experience. You may get more, but that's about what I get. So it's definitely not the most long distance commuter that you can get. Another con about this bike for long range commuting is vibration. So as with any single cylinder motorcycle, you're gonna have quite a bit of vibration, and it just kind of depends on how you can personally handle that. Because for me, for long range, I have to stop relatively often. My fingers get pretty numb. You know, there's some alternatives. You can get some thicker grips, and you can get those grip locks for the throttle and things like that, and kind of move your hands around a little bit more. And for any type of distance riding, that's basically what you'd want to do anyway. But it really isn't you know, built for long range commuting. So anyways, the DRZ400 Supermoto, a good everyday bike for your only bike? I think yes, it gets a thumbs up for me. You can make it work. Is it the best one? I don't think so. I think there are other alternatives out there other than a Supermoto for an everyday daily commuter. But is it one of the most fun ones? Probably so. You'll never really get your money out of a super sport on the road unless you're tracking it every day. And a big touring heavy bike isn't going to be the most fun just driving around all the time. And so, you know, there's the naked bikes, which I love, obviously, but the Supermoto is probably going to be your most fun get around town bike. And I definitely think you can make it work as an everyday commuter and as your only bike. So it gets a thumbs up from me. So anyway, guys, if you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell to get notified when more videos come out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Later.